We're good, Trish.
Okay, we're ready.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the public portion of this meeting back to order at 7:02. I'd like to start by rising to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going to entertain any motions as we just came out of a non-public session.
We didn't finish that, but are we going to?
I think we should probably seal what we have so far, you know?
Okay. So I am, where are we? Move the board, just came out of non-public session under RSA 91-A:32A, compensation and, actually just compensation. And that we keep all matters discussed confidential until in the opinion of the majority of the board, the circumstances no longer apply, except to provide the bookkeeper and payroll administrator with the necessary information for payroll and bookkeeping.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So that is unanimous. So I guess we're going to start with Trish has ARPA and EOC update for us.
Hi, everybody. Let's see, give me a minute. I'm in a place where my computer is not cooperating. Can you hear me okay?
We can
Yep.
hear you.
It's because I'm one of those young techies, you know, even though I'm a blonde senior. Okay, I'll keep this quick. As an update, we're still waiting for the biofilters for the town hall and the library. The engineer's report for the potential well and septic, we're waiting on that. We'll keep you posted. Also for the second camera/security company, we're waiting for confirmation on that. The solar company that we had scheduled a meeting for postponed it at the very last minute and wanted to reschedule, and we said, you know what, we're going to wait till after Thanksgiving. The large printer was installed today, so now we can do anything from an 8x10, and I'm sure Diane can talk about it, to a Mylar, so that will be great. The idea was to be able to scan, and as we're working on our document retention, maybe some of the things that don't have to be kept as a hard copy could be actually stored in the clouds. I always wonder someday what's going to happen to these clouds. But anyway, the town engineer, I spoke with him. He's actually going to be viewing Graney Park on Monday for the potential parking lot expansion. So I'll keep you posted on that. The EOC, oh dear, sorry, I just dropped something. The EOC also completed another grant for the Emergency Management Department. This is again for that message board. And although it might sound like just minor, this is so important because it's the only way that we can get income into the emergency management department. So if we do ever have an emergency, I mean, think about right now, we have a federal emergency, so we are able to work as we would in a state emergency. But if we had a local emergency, just something in town, which has happened in the past, we have no money in the EOC to operate, so it would be very difficult to service the residents during, say, a local emergency. So the hope is once this message money from the message board, we receive all of that, which is right now sitting in our operating accounts, we will be writing warrant articles so that that money can be transferred into the emergency operating center account, which again would allow us to only use it during emergencies, but it's crucial. And it won't be any impact to taxpayers, so keep that in mind. Also, most of the grants come through the EOC department. So I did call the building inspector. A new grant came in for the building department. It's a grant opportunity. So we're going to take a look at it to see if there's anything that Mr. Donovan will be able to get out of this. Again, to help offset maybe taxes, maybe it would supplement something that his department needs. The twin culvert grant for Wilders Grove Road is still in the works, and as Mike Pavero, as we upgrade what we're doing on that and see if they'll actually accept our intent, we'll keep you posted on that. Hopefully they will. I can't imagine that they wouldn't. On a final note, the thank you to all the people who worked the elections. This is not necessarily EOC, but it kind of was, and I'll tell you why towards the end. But everybody who worked the elections, behind the scenes, out front, police, fire, highway, the election workers, the ballot clerks, everybody did an outstanding job. And the U.S. Treasury said that election workers were considered essential workers, that we need them in order to run an election. So they are entitled actually to a stipend. So just like we did in March, the ARPA committee has approved the people that work the elections to get $125 per person and we approved it per event. So when we have elections, as long as we've got money, we will do this, so it would be no tax impact. And just for those of you that don't know this, clearly those people that work elections do it because they're passionate about the town. We don't get rich over this. We get paid $10.12 an hour. We're lucky if we can buy 2 coffees for that at Dunkin' Donuts. So the fact that we can actually give them a stipend is huge. And we ended the day, and I don't know if Mary Jo was going to talk about it. I apologize for taking the air out of her balloon maybe. But we ended the day with not only knowing that everyone was going to get a stipend, but our past House of Representative, Mary Allen, and she was a past selectman, she was a past everything in town. She actually supplied us with pizzas at the end of the day. And trust me when I say it was a long day. It was a 17-hour shift. So it was a tough day. So thank you again for everyone who helped. From the EOC point of view, we had 11 new cases of COVID in the last 14 days. Right now, the CDC is not giving us figures on the RSV, but I'm going to tell you it is out there, unbelievable. So again, if you're in a crowded room or a crowded indoor space, you might want to consider wearing masks. If you need masks, please contact me at the EOC. I have plenty. I have plenty of gloves. If you need gloves when you want to go grocery shop, or whatever you might need. It sounds silly, but it's really the only 2 ways to help protect yourself. As far as our town goes, we've got 47% now have been vaccinated. So that's 2,342 people in Newton. It's still, we haven't reached that halfway point. And a lot of people aren't going to get vaccinated, and that's okay if they're just using the right protocols for not being vaccinated. And I think that's it.
The only thing I would add to the election thing, and you touched upon all the important things, but people have to keep in mind this was a 3-election year. Next year is going to be 1, and the year after will be the 4-election year. But
Right.
all the people you're talking about, they did it 3 times this year.
Exactly.
So that's,
It's a tough day, and as Chairman Matt says, sometimes it's not easy. People come in and they're like mad at us, and we're just doing our thing for our $10 an hour, and trying to be democratic about everything we're doing. We're doing the right thing, servicing everybody, and it is a long day. So thank you, and even all the selectmen too. You were all there at one point or another. It was great, and Mark, our new town administrator, got to see what's going on. But again, Matt's right. Thank you, everybody.
yeah, from the board, right? We agree with Trish. Thank you for everybody who did that. We're kind of at it sounds funny to say we're at the end of the election year because we have to do it again in 4 months. But at least we only have to do it once next year.
Right.
So, excellent.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
questions?
I should end with our Homeland Security legal call. We've got a lot of stuff going on the Homeland Security end, and that's Thursday. So at your next meeting, I'll give you an update on that.
Awesome, thank you.
Do we know why
You're
this
welcome.
speaker doesn't stay on, by the way?
I don't know. Can you hear
I'm
that?
sorry.
Going
what's
on,
that?
coming off, going on, coming off.
Is it on Trish's end or our end?
I don't know, because I can hear Trish out of this one, so I can.
This one, but that keeps coming in and out. Somebody should just take a look at that.
Okay.
Intermittently.
Sometimes you're in stereo, Trish, and other times you're just mono. So,
Well, you're lucky because when I talk to my husband, he just blocks me out entirely.
yeah, he told me that once.
But when it comes out of both, you can hear it better.
Thank you.
All right, excellent, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's what my point is. When they're both working, I can hear everything that's being said.
Yeah.
Transfer station, are we waiting till Pete gets here, or do we have
No,
something?
I would
He had-
suggest you move on and we'll table it, because he
Okay.
didn't.
I know he's probably locking up and all that
Yeah.
good stuff, so.
He was downstairs a little while ago.
He was?
He came in, grabbed some stuff, and it looked like he left.
So we'll follow up with Pete then.
Yeah.
D is snowplow rates for 2022.
So why don't we go to the budgets, because Mike should be here, he's attending a funeral.
Oh,
he
okay,
should
so he is coming tonight?
Yeah.
Excellent, so what everybody waits for, the budgets, we'll do that right away. So I believe police department is the first one on, and the chief was the first one here, so. So if you want to give us a kind of generalized overview of the proposed budget you have.
Sure. Good evening, Board. Mike Jewett, Police Chief. So I proposed this year's budget's a little bit higher than years past. You know, I guess I could work backwards on the budget. The total number went up. You know, that's all people really care about is what the number is. Went up $251,605, which is a 27.8% increase. Out of that, you can take off $189,005 for payroll and for officers. So it gave us about a $62,600 total update or increase in the budget. We went up in different stuff. We added a community outreach, and what that basically is the drug take-back box that we have. Also looking to do a comfort dog for the town, to use at the schools, to use at different town events. You know, everything, as most of you, I'm sure, go grocery shopping or do anything, everything has cost more and more. The last thing I really want to be doing is adding more to people's already taxed income coming in. But, you know, going through this, you know, I went up minimal where we could, and some stuff stayed the same. You know, the numbers, if you look at them, you know, they're small increases, but, you know, I know they all add up. But, you know, contracts go up, cost of materials goes up. So that's, a lot of that is, you know, making into that. Highest thing that went up was basically the salaries for full-time, part-time. That's where the chunk of that money is coming from.
In terms of the school resource officer, is that amount captured in the same salary line item as the traditional officers, or is there any way we can
We could probably,
call it out?
we probably would after March, we'd be able to.
Yeah, because for those who may not remember, so the school is reimbursing us. It's kind of like a full-time detail, right?
Yep.
So we have to front the money, and then the people requesting the detail pay us, but we can't move that money until we have a warrant in March.
Correct.
So we'd be able to, as town council recommended last year, we write the warrant article so people vote for us to put it into that line item. So we would probably want to, so people can see it.
Yep,
you
it would
know,
definitely offset that total
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to move to accept the proposed,
Before you do that, just in case we have any other questions, because this is always always a large portion of the budget
Fortunately.
for the police department. Any other questions on this?
Mike, I didn't hear what you said on community outreach.
Community outreach is for the drug take-back box that we got last year. That's the one that's in the PD lobby that people can drop off their prescription drugs. Also, one of the other things we're trying to do is get a comfort dog, and a comfort dog would be something that, and we may not need that money, but that comfort dog would be used for the schools, would be used for Packer Meadows, Sergeant Woods, and that basically, you know, when we go to domestics, we're seeing that across the country you're starting to see they're putting clinicians with the police, they're doing different stuff, so we're trying to get towards that way and start at a small piece and try, you know, motor vehicle accident or whatever it may be. You know, we're trying to put something out to give back to the community a little bit more.
Okay.
A lot of PDs, Salem PD just got one. There's a handful of PDs around that have them. They're primarily, what we're going to do with ours will be primarily attached to the school resource officer. And he'll bring the dog back and forth to school and do different things with it, which eventually we'll try to get some, you know, there's some grants out there that we're looking at. There's also, you know, donations and different things that we can try to do.
Now, where do we keep this dog?
The SRO would actually house the dog himself.
So does that mean it's kind of like the standard police canine, that's the officers, it's the officer that takes him home and takes all the care of that dog?
Correct.
Okay.
This won't be a patrol dog, though.
Well, I know, I understand that,
Yeah.
but it would be
yeah,
the
the
same
officer would be-
concept.
Yep.
For
The
care.
officer will have that responsibility of training, responsibility of caring for the dog.
Okay.
So,
I just happened to notice, I mean, you explained it, as we all know, stuff is getting more expensive. The uniform budget variance, like
Yep.
$12,000 difference
yep.
with the, is that because we need more of them, or is that?
No, because if we put the officers on, that would give me $6,000 to outfit each one. You know, you're looking at, you know, the vest, uniform, pants, shirt, you know, all that stuff adds up. So that's what that number, why that number went up, is to cover for two.
And
So-
what- Go ahead, sorry, Matt. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, so the vest is part of it, the vest isn't equipment, it's uniform?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So what's the difference between, it may just be the vest, what's the difference between the uniform line item and then the equipment?
Equipment would be, you know, you could have flashlights, you could have cruiser, you know, all the different things that we have in the cruisers. It could be defibrillators, it could be,
Okay, so it's not just the equipment on the officer
no,
himself?
it could equipment for the entire department.
Okay, thank you.
One other thing, Mike. On the telephone,
Yep,
you got 9908.
yep, and I'll give you the reason why that went up so much.
Yeah.
I was told that next year we're going to need to budget for our internal phone system, which was an increase of like $7,500 because we can no longer pay for that out of the cable revolving fund. So now that we have to pay for it, I had a budget for it. So that's why that number went up.
And just to clarify too, is that phone covers his internet and any TV service. So it's three things that it's covering. And if we go with the new phone service, he'll end up with 16 lines?
I think so.
Yeah, 16 lines.
16 lines, yeah.
But yeah, that's,
It'll be one line coming in, but there'll be
Exactly.
16 extensions that
Right.
each person will have their own extension with the mobile. They can forward their phone to their mobile device if they want.
yeah. So that's why that number jumped up, because in the last few years, we haven't had to budget for the telephone.
Okay.
Because it's been coming out of the cable revolving, and now that number changed a couple months ago, so I think you should see that across the board, I think, on all department heads coming in.
All right, any other questions? So just the
Are we buying another car?
Trying to,
leasing, right?
correct.
Lease.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just the public service announcement we do every week is, what we'd be doing is we'd be voting to accept the proposed budget, and the overall proposed, we approve the budget in its entirety for presentation of the voters at a later meeting. So if we vote to accept this, it's just to accept it as draft, basically.
Correct.
Bob, did you want to make that?
Oh,
motion?
no.
You can do it now.
Public service
Make
announcement
a
over.
motion that we move to accept the proposed 2023 Police Department budget for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
So moving right along, we have a couple, forest fire and fire department from the fire chief.
He's going to do the forest fire first, because that's the easiest one.
He likes to lead in with the,
Yeah.
Diane,
Good evening.
Hold on one second, chief. Sorry. I'm getting texts. Are we live on TV right now?
We should be.
Okay, maybe they just don't know what they're doing. Okay, thank you.
It's on channel 20, Comcast 20.
Yep. Sorry, chief.
Not a problem.
all right. Which, in this tab is not forest fire, right? It's something else?
Yeah, it's under the fire department.
Oh, it's just under his tab?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Get it. If you would, chief, thank you.
All righty. Good evening. In regards to the forest fire budget, we are level funding it. The only thing that we ask of the board is there's funds remaining. If we could encumber those funds for our 50/50 match for the grant we just received. I'd like to encumber it, I think it's 900 and change. If you notice that budget doesn't move that much, that is on me. I forgot all about it this year. I've been, anything that the forest side needed, I was taking out of my regular fire department budget. If it needed equipment, we were buying it out of that other budget.
So if we're going to encumber, then you'll be able to provide us with all the paperwork? There's all these,
The town should have that, because the board had to approve the grant. And on that
Okay.
approval documentation was everything the fire department was going to purchase.
okay, because, the encumbrances have to be very specific. We just want to make sure we've dotted all the i's, crossed all the t's.
Mr. Chairman, I'll work with the fire chief to make sure that
Cool,
happens.
thank you. All right, so any questions on the forest fire budget line, or budget? Anybody want to make a motion?
Move to accept proposed 2023 forest fire budget for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving right along to the regular fire department budget.
Okay. Thank you for having us again. As my partner in blue said, we did what we could to limit our total budget. We actually, if you look at it, we decreased several lines and we increased a few. The ones that we increased, the first one was dues, annual dues and contracts. That is now, because the fire department, it's coming out of the fire department's budget for the maintenance of the SCBA breathing system. So that was added in. The other one that had an increase was facilities. A lot of stuff was taken under the town government buildings. Now it is the responsibility of the fire department. Another one that increased was the fuel. We all know what's going on with the fuel. We did work with Diane, and the department's very thankful to get the fobs and pass codes to use the state yard. As of a couple of weeks ago, we were told gas at the state yard was $2.70, $2.80. Diesel fuel was $3.70, $3.80. But that is no longer fixed. It fluctuates. So what the state pays to fill is what the cost will be. okay? So we're working on writing an SOP on when we'll be taking the vehicles to the state yard to be fueled. We did the Tahoe yesterday in Epping, and we did the Tahoe, well, we topped it off yesterday to see how that state yard works. And the one in Kingston is 4 miles from the fire station. It took us about 5 minutes to fuel up the vehicle. So we were in and out from the station there and back in about 20 minutes. Okay? Go ahead.
When do they set those rates, do we know?
When this whole thing started, when it was brought to the fire department and to the board, we were told the rates run from November 1st to November 1st. They set them in September. I was told yesterday, matter of fact, the way everything is fluctuating, there is no set rate.
You're
But it's still
typically,
cheaper than going to a regular station in most cases?
Yes, and the reason being is the state's buying it in bulk compared to buying just for one facility.
And I would imagine the fact that it's the state buying in it and it's not just Joe Schmo.
well, so the state's gonna buy it at the wholesale level, and they're not gonna sell it at the retail level, which is what the gas stations are.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so, and you're probably gonna see major fluctuations over this winter, as we get into the winter and as things change.
Right.
Because what the state buys it for, then they pay the transportation, and their maintenance is gonna go on top of that.
Right.
So you're gonna take a piece of that pie. I expect you're gonna see some fluctuations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're still, if the price is close to local, we would prefer to stay local. Unfortunately, if you look at the current budget for 2022, that was blown
Understood.
a long time ago because of $6, $6.50 on diesel fuel, et cetera. It didn't make a difference where we went to fuel up. It was the same price.
Yep.
Okay, the intent is to try to keep it in-house, but trust me, from the last time I stood at this podium, I've had an earful in regards to we could be saving $3 in diesel fuel or $2.50 in gas. Why haven't we gone to the state yard sooner? The answer to that is simple. It took time. And it takes time to do it. And like I said, it's easier. It gives the vehicles a run. I wish I could stand up here and tell you I'd love to keep it in-house, you could say.
Understood.
Yeah, it's fair enough. We just have to keep our eyes open to it for the fluctuations. Because,
Correct.
you know, maybe some miracle happens and the, you know, and prices start coming down.
Diesel right now is over $6 a gallon.
Yeah,
And, yeah,
so,
I worked that world for a while. I know what you're going through, trust me.
And then the other one is salaries. As my road agent partner, I know he's not here, but he knew I was going to mention his name, brought up 2 weeks ago that it's hard for him to find a good CDL driver for $14 and change. Try finding a firefighter for $11.70 an hour. The other thing in there is we are up from January of this year to November of this year. Our total calls are 485. All of last year, that's just fires, that's not total calls for service, okay? 485 for the first 10 months. Last year for 12 months, 448. Our biggest jump, it's always been EMS. Our biggest jump is mutual aid, fires, service calls, a lot of lift assists, fire alarms, and I can tell you, speaking to other fire chiefs, the way the economy is, it's only going to get worse. for call volumes. Within 4 days, we had a wood stove issue, 2 oven fires, and a structure fire. And that didn't count mutual aid in between there. We are busy. So that's what that increase was. So like I said, we did, if you look at it, we did a lot of decreases, was try to, to try to keep the budget down. We didn't want to go, like I said, in this economy, we're trying to make do with what we have. And I wish we could have level funded. Unfortunately, people above my pay grade and not the board down in Washington kind of took care of that with the economy. And we do have, just so you know, we talked about incumbent. I talked to the bookkeeper. I already sent her some stuff to try to incumbent out of that budget, because the board approved 5 months ago, give or take, gear. We'll probably see that maybe this January out of next year. Bunch of other stuff that the board has approved through the year. We haven't received it yet. But the purchase orders, the board has the purchase orders, the board has approved it. So the game plan is to incumbent.
All right, any questions?
Move to accept proposed 2023 budget for the fire department, budget for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Anybody want to?
Second.
It's like Mike won the foot race. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Chief.
Chief.
All right, so we are skipping over a couple.
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to skip executive, general government. How about insurance?
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman?
Go ahead.
Yep. We have worked with Primex, Tony Flewelling, who's our representative at Primex, covers the accident health insurance, property and liability, unemployment, and workers' compensation. And these, once again, reflect the climate that we're working with with regards to insurance costs. We did receive, Tony confirmed for me that we did receive a 2.5% discount on the pricing relative to these insurances because of the fine work that the Joint Loss Management Committee did, as well as that Bill Landry did on behalf of the town over the past several months. So they reflect what we have for incoming costs with regards to the insurances at the top of the worksheet. The second half, we've been working. Sorry.
Just so it's in your book under other general government.
Other? Okay.
Okay.
So there's-
Thank you.
It was,
I'm sorry.
I just,
It sounded good, everything you were talking about, but we couldn't find it in the book.
Which one? I have it right here on my computer.
My password's not working, so
Oh.
at least you got that worked out.
I got no sheet under general.
Yeah.
other general, it's be other.
Oh, okay. See that, Mike? Yellow.
1114.
Well, it could be a different color, because, so it's under other general?
It's under O.
Oh,
Because I started in general government looking for other, it's actually other general government.
Thank you.
And while he's doing that, it shouldn't,
Thank you.
you mentioned something that we shouldn't let go away, is we hardly ever mention that Joint Loss Prevention Committee
Yes, sir.
in the work that they do throughout the year. It's not the most glamorous assignment. There's somebody from every department on there, and we see the emails going out. And as Mark said, you know, they help us get costs down by doing all the exercises they do and updating all the policies. So we should definitely thank them for all their efforts. I try to mention them all, but I'll forget somebody. But
Yeah, we had a robust discussion, and we had full attendance, I believe, at the last meeting, so, or close to it.
With all the costs going up,
Yep.
to replace a police car, a truck, somebody gets in an accident, buildings, are they increasing insurance based on all the replacement costs? Have we gotten any notification to talk to about that yet?
No, because it hasn't come to fruition yet. That will be on the next cycle, Selectman Connolly.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that was insurance. Are we moving on to personnel?
Personnel administration. So this is the Health Trust, which is a consortium of a number of towns and municipalities. I've been working closely with Debbie Clayton, and I have to tip my hat to Kim for helping tremendously on this front. These are the costs for so-called housekeeping for all of our employees that qualify for these benefits: dental, health, retirement, and short-term disability. With regards to Medicare and FICA, as you know, those are set rates. Medicare is 1.45% for the town and 1.45% for employees, so it rounds up to 2.9% total. So that's something you can see is up a bit, as well as the New Hampshire retirement system, which is a set rate for employees and for police officers and other personnel in town.
Obviously, quite a bit of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if you've heard that before. There's a theme going on here, you know?
Yep.
Did everybody talk to each other?
I know, apparently.
Like they're all cheating.
Apparently. All right, any questions on these two?
No.
Do we want to,
Move to accept proposed 2023 other.
I think you should do like insurance and then do personnel. So do them two separate ones for those.
You want to
two.
do two separate ones?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just insurance.
So we're going to do, move to accept proposed 2023 budget for insurance for the budget inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
anybody want a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then I'll move to accept the proposed 2023 budget for the personnel administration budget for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and I think
Thank you.
that's it for tonight for the budgets.
Correct.
Okay, we had to table a few for circumstances beyond our control, but those will get pushed out. And now very timely communication services.
So, so the highway department office in the Butler building, he needs his own internet access and phone line and a basic TV service so he can see the weather channel type of thing. So we got a quote from Comcast to offer that service for all three.
Would this come out of the
This will be in
franchise
his
fees?
budget. No, this will be
In his budget?
right, this will be in his budget. I think it was like, what, $172 a month or something like that? I
Yep.
believe.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the 99. Okay, there it is. Got it.
So this would, I mean, he'd have to have, this wasn't accounted for in the previous year's approved budget, so he's got room for it for this year?
I believe he will probably have to readjust his budget a little bit. Cover this.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak for a minute?
Sure.
So I don't know what you're looking at. So remember that ARPA, as long as we have funds, and I'd have to do another, I mean, I know we have funds, but again, I don't know what you're looking at. We couldn't take care of monthly things, but if there's equipment, because it's considered technology, and as the U.S. Treasury said, if it's an upgrade in technology and forward thinking, it can be covered under ARPA. Not a monthly fee, but if there's equipment that he's got to purchase, whatever you're looking at there, you might want to let me know, and ARPA can look at it, and we may be able to help that way.
And I think for the highway, it's just a monthly fee
Yeah,
to provide service.
yeah, so, but Trish, he's gonna need a network switch, so that would be something we could cover under ARPA.
And what about, you said something about the TV?
The same thing with the PD, it's gonna be upgraded, so they could probably pay for that. Pay for the installation charges.
And Chief June and I have talked a lot about the upgrade over at the PD and some of the things he wants to do, but again, I don't, and I'm sorry, I apologize for not being there, but you can let me know what's there, and ARPA certainly can discuss it and see if we can't help so that it's not a burden on somebody's budget.
Yeah, it, basically the 172.84 would be his monthly charge.
Okay,
So, but he does, like I said, he'll need the network switch, so that'll be good, so you can cover that.
okay,
Good, thanks.
thank you.
So I guess it sounds like we need a motion for the monthly
Right,
for
so I'm
highway.
gonna make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the Comcast agreement for a new highway department office setup, which includes internet, phone, and basic TV services for the monthly charge, which is going to be $172.84, which does not include taxes or fees.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did we get, I think you were drinking your water at the time.
That's what I-
right? Yeah,
I said it before I took the drink.
there you go. Sorry.
Then we'll do the same thing for the police department.
Yeah, so do we want to be doing a motion on that now, or wait until we hear from ARPA? What's the recommended path here?
Well, as you know, the police department had an issue this weekend with the phone service. I really don't think it's something you can put off at this
And
point.
Chief Jewett's already addressed this in front of us,
Yeah.
the difficulties that they're having, so this is a no-brainer, it needs to be done.
Sure,
We're
yeah.
putting people's lives at risk if
Sure.
it's not.
Yep, no,
back
agreed.
Really quick on the phone, so I've talked to Trish many times about what ARPA can cover. The way that we're looking at doing the Comcast, it's a lease. So the equipment is all covered in the monthly payment. So Comcast will not sell us the equipment. It would cost us way too much money to buy it outright. So to lease it through Comcast, if something breaks, they just give us a new one. So the ARPA's not much they can do with that part of our system. And just to reiterate, yeah, we were down this weekend. We lost phone service Saturday night until midday Monday. Calls could come in, then at one point, calls could come in, we couldn't hear them, they couldn't hear us, and then we had nothing. So the system is antiquated, to say the least, so it needs to be updated sooner than later. And I've
Yeah.
been saying that now for 6 months. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
So it's pretty much the same thing. ARPA will be able to cover the new installation for the upgrade, but then it's going to be the monthly payments will be depending on the budget of each department.
Which I believe he has put into his budget.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm going to make a motion. We move to sign the agreement for upgrade voice over IP phone service with Comcast Communications for the police department, and have the chairman sign for the monthly charge of $536.44, which does not include the taxes or fees.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, so that, I believe, covers those two. And now we're talking G, lease for PCs.
Yes, so the server that we have here is over 6 years old, and it's time, we've put it on extended warranties and stuff like that, but it's really on its borrowed time, I think, and that's what our IT people have said as well. So they're recommending that we upgrade or replace it basically with a new one.
So you're saying not everything gets better with age?
Not this case.
It's not a fine wine.
So and I believe Mark has some ideas on how to fund it.
Yeah, so if I could, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the board and the listening audience, the same methodology holds true that Tricia outlined earlier, that this is technology. It's providing us with communication systems at Town Hall and also with the fire and EOC departments. So I think that we should take a look at this, look at the proposals to see if the ARPA funding could be used. We're not talking a lot of money here initially. So I think it's it would fit that same mold that you previously approved, in my humble opinion. Thank you.
So we're kind of at different points here. So he thinks we should buy it, I think we should lease it, because at the end of 3 years, you'll get stuck with a piece of equipment that will be not worth anything to you. So I'm thinking it's going to be up to the board to decide, and if ARPA will pay for it, that's fine, but just keep that in mind.
And if we buy it, we own it, so we pay for repairs.
Even if you lease it, you're paying for repairs, but it's like your car. If you lease the car, it's just, you're stuck with something at the end of the, for a lot longer. This way here, you're kind of forced into keeping it going, keeping it updated. So, I mean, what I had suggested too was that ARPA could cover the installation costs, which is quite expensive because it's quite a setup to do these types of servers.
Yep.
And if they covered that, that would cut it back some too. So you have funding options, I guess, is what it boils down to.
The lease costs would be captured in the franchise fees?
Correct. That would be covered by the ARPA, cable revolving fund.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a clarification. I'm not suggesting that we outright purchase it if it's not in the best interest of the town. What I'm suggesting is that we look at the ARPA funds to see how other communities, I believe that there's an advisory on this from the state, that other communities have used these funds with respect to similar types of systems. And I would imagine that it would come with a warranty period for a period of time. So there's I think there's some good points on both sides. I'm not wedded to either one. I'm just suggesting that perhaps it could be the installation, the initial cost that ARPA can cover to get us going, because actually a 3-year lease would take us past the December 31st, 2026 deadline for the actual use of the funds. So I think we should evaluate that as we're taking a look at this.
So if I have this right, it's kind of a nice problem to have right now, right? Because we either have the revolving fund, the franchise fees, which we can use, or we have ARPA, which we can use, right? So we're kind of not asking the voters to go back into their pockets. They've already paid for it at some point. So that's the good news, right? Is we're just trying to figure out what money to draw from.
Mr. Chairperson.
Go ahead, Trish.
Sorry. So if I could just ask that, because ARPA already has, we kind of have, we call it our wish list, and I don't know what kind of figures you're talking about. If you could share it with us, our next ARPA meeting is the Monday before your next meeting, so I think that would be, heaven help us, December 6th, I think is your next meeting. So that ARPA can take a look at it, because we do have limits, and we've got other things in the works that have been somewhat promised. So it might make sense for us to look at it, see how much money we do have, to see if it makes sense using ARPA, or and I don't know, again, what the money is, say, for the police department and their phones, but remember, if it's considered a hardship in an emergency, which that phone system would be, that is something that we can go to DRA and take out of the general fund. We just have to write a hardship letter. So I don't, remember that ARPA, we're almost at the end. I think we've maybe got $200,000 more that we can spend, maybe 226,000. But that's, remember, out of that, we've promised other things. So just get us whatever it is you're looking at so that we can see, does it fit into it? Do we have enough money? And does it take priority over some of the things that we've already started, like the well and the septic for the transfer station, or the camera security system, which maybe we'll decide we won't do because it's so expensive. Same thing with the solar panels. We might decide maybe it's not worth it. But at least throw this at us so that we can deal with it. Sorry.
So,
Thank you.
I was going to say that I'll make a motion that we table this to the December 6th meeting.
that makes sense with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. So,
Yeah.
oh, she's on the phone. All right. So the invoice or the proposal we're looking at, if we go and we buy the equipment, where's it getting housed? Where's the actual physical equipment being housed?
House, right behind you.
Right.
There's one right behind you now in the cable room,
Yep. Where's its redundancy? Like if
in the cloud,
so it is backed up to the cloud.
correct.
Something happens bad to this building, you can dial into it.
What you would do is if the building burnt, you would have to get another you'd have to find a place to put it
All right,
first.
so you go through a recovery process.
Correct, there's a recovery process, correct.
If we had the lease, I guess that's the way we're using the term, right? Cloud-based, we could dial in from anywhere?
No, it's still the piece of equipment is still
So it's
behind.
still there, so I'm not changing.
It's just like you're driving a car. It's that type of lease. I mean, we had entered into lease agreements so that we wouldn't end up with the problem when I first got here is that we had systems running XP, Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 8, all over the place, and they were old. So this way here, we were trying to keep it leased because we always knew what we were paying.
And then you level up.
And it would, yeah, and we could level up. That was the only reason. I mean, that was the only reason we did it that way. It may not be the right way to go anymore. That's something you can look into.
Trish, everything for technology is going cloud-based, right? And there needs to be redundancy. God forbid something happens and we don't have to go through recovery. We can log in from another computer somewhere, right? Everything's going that way. Do you see any changes in the future, meaning the next short-term 12 to 24 months from the ARPA funds to pay for a monthly lease?
Not so far. It looks like if we were going to commit to something monthly, we could commit up to 2026.
Right.
But we have to put that in writing in my report by December 31st, 2024, saying that in 2025 and 2026, these monthly fees are going to be paid. So the money has to be accounted for and labeled, but we have till 2026 to use it.
Okay. Sorry, guys, I just wanted to make sure I understood this.
Yeah, sure. So it sounds, I don't think we need a motion, but it sounds like we're going to table this
Yep.
until such time as we get more information. But our kind of hard deadline is far enough out that we don't have to make a decision tonight. So,
Yep.
sound good? All right, so would the laptops for fire and EOC fall under the same category, or?
Well, it's a lot less expensive, so
True.
again, it's the same type of scenario. Yes, we had recommended leasing, but if you want to go ahead and purchase them outright, that's an option as well.
Chief, Fire Chief, it looks like you're getting ready to come up. Do you have any opinion one way or the other?
I can tell you the last laptops that were purchased, the fire department purchased 2 out of its budget, and I believe the EOC purchased 2
Yes.
out of its budget. And they're just becoming, we've had them since, I think, 2018, if not
Yep.
before that.
So they're different, those are due as well.
Yeah, I think when it comes to this stuff, I tend to fall in favor of leasing because of the, just, what's the word I'm looking for? Stuff becomes obsolescent, right? So it's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
the stuff is obsolete by the time you get it home from the store type thing. So leases are often the best way to go.
Move to authorize the chairman to sign a 3-year lease agreement with HP Financials with a yearly payment of $1,620.43 for 4 laptops to replace the out-of-warranty ones at the fire and EMD departments.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Did you have
I
something?
was wondering, I think we need to say that the funds to come from the cable revolving fund, if you're okay with that
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
sure, yeah.
Okay.
It's still a second?
Yep.
Still all in favor, right?
Yes.
Let's make
Yep.
sure we have that in there. All right. H, renewal, license to sell pistols and revolvers.
So as it says, this is a renewal for Brian Dennison?
Okay, so this is an existing license.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Basically, I believe, if I've got this right, this is ATF background checks and the Department of Safety, Division of State Police, and we're kind of like the last signature.
Yep.
Which is more of a non-opposition statement, I think, on the,
Just so that you know, Matt,
Yeah.
when I was on the planning board, what we did is we told the individuals that would have this, that they'd have to come to the Board of Selectmen every year and ask to continue. But it was a planning board decision in the beginning,
yeah.
okay?
So you're saying in terms of when they go through that gate, right before they get to us, they have to go to the planning
They
board?
go to the planning board and get
Yeah.
permission from the planning board, and then the planning board tells them that they have to go to the Board of Selectmen every year and get their blessings.
So in other words, what you're saying is that's already happened, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
they've already been to the planning board.
Yeah.
Hence, this is just a way that the town can keep up with what's going on within its boundaries.
Yeah, we keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So I will move to sign the renewal license to sell pistols and revolvers for Mr. Bradford Dennison of 83 Amesbury Road.
Second.
And if we could please tell the state police that they've misspelt Newton on the license. I'm sure that'll screw everything up, and they'll have to start
Oh,
over.
that was my fault. I will fix that.
That was your fault?
Yes, that is
I don't
my-
believe that.
Are you new here?
I didn't
am
see
I
a
supposed-
badge. Are you state police? We gotta
New-
blame,
I was,
you know,
I was one of my new town. Oops.
All right,
Everybody put their shocked look on.
any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so I is a resident request change date for Halloween. So nutshell, I've been on the board a while, so I've kind of seen the progress of this. At one point, I think when I was first on the board, we were always trying to do it on a Saturday, or at least a Sunday, trick or treat, set the trick or treat day. And then we had a lot of people get in touch with us and say, well, we have a party on Saturday night, so you're kind of interfering with our party. And then we changed it back so it would always be on
The 31st.
the 31st. And then what happened with our town and pretty much every surrounding town is we started doing the trunk or treat, which is always on a Saturday, but typically it's the Saturday, not the one right before, but the one right before that, so the middle of October. So this resident emailed us and said that she, along with her other neighbors, would like to encourage us to move it to, so it's always the Saturday before the 31st. I would think at some point we'd probably have to have it on November 1st if things worked out. But she was looking to encourage us to kind of measure this as a warrant article and that she would do a petition warrant article if we didn't want to do that. I think my thing is, I don't want to do a warrant article myself. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff on the warrant, and this is probably not the right fit. I do know that you can do free, I think it's Google surveys, and I'm kind of looking at Diane. I don't know if she's done that before, but you can put a survey on our website, and people can hit the survey and choose which one or the other, and maybe we get a better indication from the town as to what they want to do. And the good news is we have 11 months to
Figure it out.
So
Well, if you're gonna do that, then my suggestion is what you would have to do is like the planning board's been doing for all the work for the, the master plan for the land use. We've had a couple of things that were put out for the people
Oh, right,
of the
yeah.
town
Yeah.
to do the surveys so that we could get the town's input about the different things about land use and all of that. And there's another one that Jen just put out about it. So my suggestion would be that we would put it on the town website. We would also post it in the different town Facebook or whatever accounts they are, to where people go to from the town. The more that we get it out there and more visible, the more input that we'll be getting, so that we don't just end up getting a few people, because we definitely, I don't want to just put this out on a limited basis, get a limited putback, and then it gets changed, and then all of a sudden we have this huge outcry saying, well, what just happened? So my suggestion is that it hits everything, the paper, the town website, the other sites that we go on, if you're going to do that.
what's everybody think of that? Oh, Joe?
I'd like to ask, Joe Simone, Newton resident, if we're going to go ahead and do that, I'd like to know which of the selectmen are going to watch the process so it can make sure that it goes to every step and, you know, we get enough responses. If we go that, we only get 10 or 12 responses, then that's a moot point.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, though, on the past surveys that the planning board put out there for the capital reserve, I mean, the capital improvements,
Yep.
how many responses did you get?
I think the first one we did wasn't bad. It was a couple hundred, a little over 200 responses we got about. It might even have been 260. Don't take my word for it. I'm just,
That's actually
What I'm
really
thinking,
good
yeah.
for a survey.
Yeah.
The good thing with our survey is it involves candy, so people get candy. So that's going to influence.
Well,
And
people.
it's-
myself, being a-
and the thing also, Joe, is that it's gonna be a short read, unlike the land
Yeah,
use and
yeah.
whatever, so people aren't gonna look at it and go, I don't have time for this.
The good news, I think I hear what you're saying. The good thing about these things is you get a link. So it's a www.
What do you do about the people that don't have a computer?
Right.
Yeah, hopefully we
Saying-
can.
Well, that's what I'm
Put it on
saying, you
paper.
could put it on, put the, a site for them to go on in these different locations, so that if they have a cell phone, they would be able to access it and on the link to get to it. And then, like Joe said, I would say that we would definitely want to set at least a limit to how many responses we want to get to make it acceptable to change.
And how do you, I've not done this in a long time, so how do you verify that they are residents?
So really what we have to, and I don't want to engineer this thing in a meeting
So this
tonight.
is why I'm thinking
But really what I was saying, to answer your question is, do we need to know that?
Yeah,
Because
Yeah, definitely.
definitely,
we need to know that they're residents.
yeah.
Don't forget
Is
they
it
have
that
to-
important? We're not talking about money.
This whole process is gonna take on a life of its own, believe me, because
Yeah.
it's gonna get so complicated.
Right, but-
And who's gonna take the time and who's gonna have the time to shepherd the project?
Why don't we just let this woman put it on the ballot?
That's what I would suggest, a
Yeah,
warrant
That's the
article.
easiest way. Then you
could,
get the
yeah.
whole town.
The other thing you gotta take into consideration is if you're gonna ask the town, and I'm not a lawyer, I might know one, but
Yeah.
I 18 and over. Under 18, do they have the right to say anything? They're non-votings.
Yeah,
They're non-voters in the
I
town.
don't, and, you know, again,
I think it's a can of
it's,
worms.
again, it's just an idea, but to
Already
me,
taken a life on its
to
own.
me, picking a trick or treat night
get it.
is not worth checking ID for. If somebody wants to go to the trouble of getting 40 people from Haverhill to log in so they can get the right night, it's, you know, it's not like election fraud or anything like that. But if we just want to respond and say, go ahead and do a petition,
Yep.
Yep.
then that's fine too. If we wanted to do that.
That's the easiest and best way for us.
So kind of polling the board.
Well, that's why I did all that, so that you would see how much would be involved in doing it that way versus just putting it on a warrant.
Yeah. Sorry. So Charlie, you're in favor of encouraging them to do a petition
Right.
warrant
Yeah.
article, as you are, Bob,
Yep.
and as you are, Mike. So it's 3-1. So can we respond saying basically, and I think it was sent to me directly, so I can certainly respond.
Yeah, you forwarded to me, so I will put it on, I will let her
Yeah,
know that
so-
the board recommends that you put a warrant article together.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Okay, so J is update Code of Ethics ordinance. So as many people might know, we have new town council as of the summer. And that town council, one of the last times we all met with town council, he had a recommendation, our Code of Ethics ordinance needs refreshing, right? I think what, Diane, you found it was 1998.
Yeah, is when
that-
it was,
So in 98, it went to warrant. It went before the town and was approved. So he had sent along one he did from Bo as a client, and he's recommending that we engage them to, you know, one size does not fit all. So he could take a look at what we currently have, do an update of that, and we could put it on the warrant if the board wants him to take a stab at that, and then I'll review it as a board and have it set up in time for March. So that's what this one's all about. So the link in all our files was he sent over the one from Bo, so. Any discussion on this? Do we want to let town council know that we'd like him to take a first draft at this?
So I'll move to engage town council to review and propose updates to the current Code of Ethics ordinance and to place it on the 2023 town warrant for voters to approve.
Second. Charlie.
I think Charlie was that one. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So more to come on that one. Do you want to talk to Kay, Bob? We'll give you credit as your suggestion for the election workers.
Trish touched on it. So I wanted, on behalf of the town, to come up. I was there myself just before 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I watched everyone that Mary Jo had enlisted her army of personnel to work that day. It was nonstop. We had about, I think it was just over 2,500 voters come. We had a lot of people that came and registered that day. We had a couple of young ladies over there registering them and getting them through so that they could exercise their right. I saw a lot of hard work, a lot of due diligence, no rest for the weary. There was one lunch break, they kind of offset for a little bit. So I just wanted to give them a little something on behalf of the town, the selectmen, and give each one of them a $15 bonus to be able to grab a bite to eat, because they literally starved themselves pretty much that day to do that work. So that was my proposal. I have a couple lists of all the people that were there, and I would like to be able to do that for them on their behalf.
Do we have an approximate number, head count?
We have 20 people on the list, and there was also a couple firemen that they normally eat together because they're at the station. So I had talked with Chief about just getting one certificate, which would tally double what we're giving each one. So it would be like a basic total of 22 heads at $15 a whack. So it would come to, yeah,
I'm sorry?
3:30.
3:30.
330.
Do we have? They're on the list, right?
Huh?
He's saying police officers, they're on your list.
Yeah, I got the police, I got everybody that worked inside.
Yep.
Everybody's on the list.
Yeah.
I got 22 names.
He's done some legwork to check, it wasn't just a, Trish?
What about the transfer station, the setup and breakdown?
They're on there, right?
That I didn't think of, so I'll add them.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely, whenever we're thanking people, transfer station has the unglamorous day before and day after, right? They don't have the, so.
And Mr. Chairman, could I just ask a question through you?
Sure.
So, although I love the idea, my concern is where the money is coming from, because we're not supposed to use taxpayers' money for something like this. So are you taking up a collection, or what are you doing?
Yeah, good point. So this is in the concept stage, it sounds like. So I'd want to verify that, what Trish just said. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying I think there's another layer to that. I personally don't have a problem, we've done this before, taking up a collection. I don't have a problem giving money towards that for different things.
I
Mark,
can check
did
it,
you?
Mr. Chairman, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll check it out with council. Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you.
so unfortunately, a good example of how municipal work is always a little more complicated than other types of work, but I think we can kind of pull the board that this is something we'd want to get behind, right? I think we're all in favor of that as a token of our appreciation, so we can figure that out and see exactly where we need to charge it to, so. Anything else on that subject? No? But again, as we said before, this was 3 elections in 1 year, basically. And it seems to always be the same people, which is much appreciated. Moving on to other business, do we want to do the manifests?
We don't have any, just the payroll.
It's the payroll, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Joe's got,
You want me to do the manifest?
let's see what Joe has first.
Joe Simone. I would just like to acknowledge a couple of people who supplied breakfast for the veterans this past Veterans Day. There are a couple individuals that supplied, that had breakfast brought in, and there were probably 20, 25 veterans that were there, and I think it was much appreciated, and I think that's something that the town should have taken on and taken the responsibility to do. The other thing I like to see is I like to see the people from, whether it be Sergeant Woods, Jacob's Way, or Packer Meadows, included in the ceremony that we have at the centralized ceremony at the fire station or police station. I think it would be better, and if we need to provide transportation for these people, I think in the future, I think we need to provide for transportation so we can get people there.
Okay. So you're sending an invite to the people at Sergeant Woods?
No, I'm just saying that we ought to include them.
Yeah, because they've,
Instead of having 2 ceremonies, we should have 1 ceremony. I think it would be much better.
yeah, I think that'd be an excellent idea. Thus far, they haven't
The other thing I
been
think we ought to
interested.
do is we ought to call out the Sanborn Regional School District for not supplying any music or some backup.
Yeah, there was also a request we made from Sanborn, which they ended up,
It was very disrespectful on their part.
they ended up not being able to do anything this year and promised us they'd do something next year, but
And in full disclosure, I will add that Chief Alcato was going to make the breakfast, for the veterans, and our road agent, Mike Prevero, was the one who dug deep into his pocket and provided breakfast for all the veterans that day. Scrambled eggs, pancakes, English muffins, sausages, there was orange juice. Chief made the coffee for him, so there was an abundance of food that Mike bought out of his own pocket to,
Actually, Chet Pierce also, it was Mike and Chet that did it together.
yeah.
And an anonymous donor. Okay. Yes, and we should thank them. We did put out an invite to Sergeant Woods. I think that was back in September or October.
October, we invited all
October.
the veterans.
Yeah, and specifically, I reached out to Sergeant Woods and asked them to come, and then they got back to Diane and said they didn't want to come. They wanted to do their own thing. So we typically ask every year if they want to combine, but that's where we stand at this point, so. All right, so
We
I
have
got somebody
Oh.
coming up.
Chief El Cadino. Did people actually drink that coffee that you made?
Fold one, the rec brought pastry and
Right,
coffee
true, yeah.
also. Not in regards to that, an email, other business. I forwarded the board an email from the Plastow chief in regards to a representative of the select board meeting for that EMS coalition
Yeah.
of the 6 communities. Did the board decide on who that rep is?
So we-
Because I have a meeting on Thursday, and I'll finalize the date and time. I know it's going to be in the evening, and it's probably going to be next Wednesday. I think it's 6:30 or 6 p.m.
At the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
I am the, well, no.
Okay, I just want to,
You're the
Oh, let me double
messenger.
check, sorry.
I think we decided.
No, I apologize.
No.
No,
It would
we
be
brought it up
2
at the
weeks,
last
it'd be
And
30th.
that's what all
We
we
Okay.
I
didn't
believe it's the
decide.
30th.
Okay.
okay.
So it's the
Because I'll be
30th.
down
so
in
it's-
your old neck of the woods on that Wednesday.
Okay, so Mike
Oh,
is
see you.
out. Is anybody, and how many are we allowed to send?
Post a public meeting, send the whole board.
Yeah, okay.
I
we
am
can
the
do that.
messenger. Just
Yeah.
for the record, myself and the EMS coordinator, both of us have explained to the other departments that the fire chief and the EMS coordinator is not going to make a decision because come March, there's technically 3 selectmen that are up, the entire board could change.
Yep.
So just so whoever goes, you guys heard it from me here, what our feeling is.
So, excuse me. What time is it on that day?
I believe it's
Approximately.
either 6 PM or 6:30. But we are meeting this
It's
Thursday
at night.
at 10 AM, the fireside.
Mm-hmm.
And I will get confirmation on the date and time. I just didn't know who I send that information
Let
to.
me know, chief.
Yeah. Charlie, are you interested as
Oh, yeah.
well? So,
There can only be 2 of you.
well, as the chief said, if we made it 3, we'd just have to post everything, which
And
we've
have
done that
minutes.
before, but I'm comfortable with 2 if Mike's
I
comfortable
want to make you
with 2.
uncomfortable, maybe. you don't.
I know, thanks. Somebody for a change. So Bob and Charlie, and I think Bob and Charlie have done a previous meeting
Yes.
on this subject, so they would be,
Total,
well, you know what I mean, it's same
Right.
sort of idea, yeah,
same concept, just
Yeah.
one was fire, one was this is EMS.
yeah. So,
Right, so Bob and Charlie are attending and not Mike.
I'll be the wild card.
yeah,
Okay.
well,
Kidding. No, I'm not.
I would not be either, I'm comfortable if we just send the 2 of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, it does, the town administrator can, it doesn't have, they just said representation.
I'm happy to go.
And at the
Yeah, that'd be
time,
great.
we didn't have a town administrator, so I said selectmen.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So however the board wants to do it. Thank
So I
you.
think it
me
sounds like
know,
you have
Chief.
these 2 and the town admin,
I don't have to go, thank you.
and the fire chief. Fire chief has to go twice, let's put it that way. Okay, so
Manifest?
manifests.
Move to sign the payroll manifest for pay period October 23, 2022 to November 5, 2022, with a pay date of November 10th, 2022. Total payroll is $59,983.62, which includes $431.91 of the ARPA administrative costs. Do I have a
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right,
I'll do the appointment if you want.
sure.
Move to sign an 18-month appointment for Joe Simone to the Recreation Commission to expire on April 30th, 2024.
Second.
Does anybody know who this gentleman is?
Nope.
No?
Never seen him before in my life.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Congratulations, Joe.
we think that's congratulations.
We don't have any requisitions?
I believe we do not. Is that correct?
Any what?
Requisitions
No
tonight?
requisitions.
So we're moving on to minutes.
Move to accept the non-public and public meeting minutes dated November 1st, 2022 as written.
Second.
All right, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anything else before we, we'll be going back into non-public? Anything else for public?
Nope.
All right, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn public and go into non-public? It would be hiring for the next meeting. Thank
Good
you.
night, Chief. So I'm going to make a motion to come out of public and go into non-public session, RSA 91-A:3, 2C, reputation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that concludes the public portion of the meeting, the TV portion. Thanks, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.